You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News for January the 8th. As you can see, I am alone this morning. Cindy has the day off, but before I get started, don't forget, if you like what you're seeing or hearing, to hit the like and subscribe button, because today I got stories that include what's happening in Thailand. There's an update there, a report on seniors and cannabis, plus the UK. The police get a new directive on medical cannabis and driving. Something I know that patients here in Canada have had some concerns, and it's interesting to see what's going on there in the UK. And up first, I've got an update on cannabis rescheduling in the USA. This comes to me from Marijuana Moment, and the headline, as you can see, says, DEA says marijuana rescheduling appeal process remains pending despite Trump's executive order. Story says that the Drug Enforcement Agency says the cannabis rescheduling appeal process remains pending despite President Donald Trump's recent executive order directing the Attorney General to finish the job in the most expeditious manner, in quotes, they say. Now, the DEA and reform proponents on Monday submitted a joint status report on an interlocutory appeal that concerns allegations of agency bias and improper communications with anti-rescheduling parties during the rescheduling review process. Oops, I've lost where I was at. That's all right. I'll get it. To date, Movant's interlocutory appeal to the administrator regarding their motion to reconsider remains pending with the administrator, according to the DEA. Now, no briefing schedule has been set, and it's up to the agency to set the briefing schedule. But nearly a year after the appeal was accepted by former administrative law judge, the DEA is again delaying this process. This is the fourth joint status report with largely identical language that the parties filed pursuant to the administrative court's order. Now, the DEA administrator, Terrence Cole, told the senators during a confirmation hearing last year that examining the cannabis rescheduling proposal would be one of my first priorities. And we know how that's going. Meanwhile, a leading cannabis prohibitionist group say it's retained the legal services of Trump's former Attorney General, Bill Barr. And what they're going to do is they're going to sue to reverse federal cannabis rescheduling if and when the pending rule is finalized. Now, and they'll also be filing a petition through the administrative process to keep the cannabis strictly prohibited. Now, the the DEA says that cannabis rescheduling appeal process remains pending, as I said. And what else did go on there from? But they say after New Year, to call. Yeah. Meanwhile, this is leading. I've doubled up some stuff here. So this is moving cannabis to Schedule 3 wouldn't legalize cannabis, but it would formally recognize the plant's medical value, which is very important. We don't even have that here in Canada yet. Now, this would allow cannabis businesses to take federal tax deductions and remove certain research barriers. Now, a recent report from the Congressional Research Service noted that the DOJ could, in theory, declined to enact rescheduling or start the review process all over again. Let's start all over again. It'll take quite a while, but we'll see what happens. I see I got a comment there, and hello to you as well. I can't pronounce your name there, but thanks for tuning into the show. All right, going from that story, we're going to move on to the next one. And this one's coming to me from Leafly. And the headline on it says that the UK police were given new guidance on medical cannabis. That's right. Police forces across the UK have been issued new guidance on how to handle interactions with medical cannabis patients. Now, following concerns that outdated advice was leading to unnecessary confrontations between officers and lawfully prescribed patients, the National Police Chiefs Council has approved guidance prepared by the Association of Police Controlled Drug Liaison Officers after extensive consultation with healthcare partners, government agencies, and the private sector. The document, seen by Leafly, marks a significant shift in approach, instructing officers to treat medicinal cannabis users as patients first, suspects second. I know when cannabis first came legal here and they changed the laws here in Canada, I had patients call me. They were worried about driving, knowing that now they could be charged with impaired driving just for taking the medication, even though it was hours afterwards. So this is good. Now, the new guidance comes more than 7 years after cannabis-based products for medical use were moved to from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 of the misuse of drug regulations in November of 2018. Then that made them legal to possess with a valid prescription. Now, the new guidance provides practical steps for frontline officers encountering patients with medical cannabis. Officers are advised to ask for the original packaging, check the dispensing label, or a copy of the prescription, though patients are not legally required to carry these documents. Crucially, the guidance states that further police action should only follow if officers have justifiable grounds for believing that the individual is not a patient who has lawfully been prescribed medicinal cannabis, adding that it should be assumed that people in possession of medicinal cannabis are patients until proven otherwise. All right. Finally, we got to see some good front on that end of stories. All right, got another comment coming in here. This is from William Paisley. He says, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Elvis Presley's birthday today. There it is. Well, even though a heavenly happy birthday to Elvis Presley. That's for sure. All righty. Got the second story done. We're going to move on to the third story. And this one is one on psychedelics. And it is coming to me from stripes.com. And the headline there says that bill to advance VA research on psychedelic drugs is led by 3 lawmakers who are veterans. Story says that the effectiveness of ketamine, magic mushrooms, and other psychedelic drugs for treating a variety of medicinal conditions in veterans would be studied under a bill led by 3 Republican lawmakers who are veterans. The Innovative Therapy Centers of Excellence Act would establish 5 research centers at the Department of Veterans Affairs to examine hallucinogens for addressing chronic pain. Now, post-traumatic stress, as well as substance abuse, addiction, Parkinson's disease, bipolar disorder, and other conditions. Now, Rep. Jack Bergman of Michigan, he's a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant General, along with Reps. Morgan Luttrell and Dan Crenshaw, both of Texas and both former Navy SEALs, are co-sponsors. Now, the sweeping legislation will facilitate studies of federally illegal drugs like that include MDMA, people know it as ecstasy as well, psilocybin, and ibogaine, which is from an African plant in the west central area of Africa. Now, ketamine also will be part of the study. Now, the medicine is federally approved for limited use as a prescription drug administered in clinical settings, including anesthesia and depression treatment. Now, the bill is pending a hearing from the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and a Senate companion bill is expected to follow soon, according to the lawmakers. Now, several major veteran groups are backing the Innovative Therapy Centers of Excellence Act, including the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Wounded Warrior Project. They say by investing in research and access to breakthrough therapies, this piece of legislation tells those who have sacrificed for our country that their voices are being heard and listened to, according to Alison Jaslow. She's the Chief Executive Officer of the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. So that is good news to see that research like that is going to be supported and go through. Got myself another comment here. C4 Dub, yes, medicinal conditions. That's for sure. Yep. Okie dokie. On to my next story. And get the buttons here. I need someone to work behind the scenes sometimes. From there, we are moving on to a story that is coming to us from the Hemp Gazette. And the headline there says, study cognitive impact of cannabis use on seniors. Now, a recently published study looked at the associations between past and present cannabis use and current cognitive abilities among dementia-free older adults, with some encouraging results. They say that older adults have been increasingly using cannabis for chronic pain conditions and or recreationally, thanks to laws loosening in many countries. Now, in the U.S., the proportion of adults aged 65 years of age or older using it has more than quadrupled in the last 20 years. Now, some seniors have been using cannabis for a very long time. So what sort of impact is it having on their cognitive function? Well, a new study in the UK, and they studied tens of thousands of seniors aged over 60. Now, cannabis use patterns were analyzed and cognitive function was assessed. The areas tested were attention, executive function, processing speed, visual memory, and working memory. The researchers found that lifetime cannabis users performed better across all the cognitive domains mentioned above. Current use was also associated with better working memory, and there were mixed and contradictory results found on for early onset, duration, and frequency use of cognitive outcomes. Now, longitudinal past use was associated with less decline in executive function, while longer duration of use predicted steeper decline in processing speed, as according to the researchers. Then they concluded, cannabis use is not uniformly harmful to cognitive in older adults. Past use was linked to better performance and slower decline in some cognitive domains. However, specific uses patterns, such as longer durations, were associated with poor outcomes in other domains. And as always, they highlighted they need more research. More and further research has to be done. And that comes basically on all studies these days when it comes to cannabis. All right, story number 4 is done, and I'm moving on to number 5 and the last story of the day. And this one is coming to me from Entrepreneur. And as you can see, the headline there says Thailand plans to limit cannabis sales to licensed medical facilities. As you remember, it only seemed like a year or so ago, Thailand was legalizing cannabis. And now it's only available for medical use. So it just goes to show, just because you have legal cannabis in your country, and there's not a lot of us, but even though you do have it, or in the state where you are in the US, doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Politicians will go ahead and change it. And we're seeing that in the US states right now. So Thailand has gone and done it, and this is where it's going to be now. Now, Thailand government officials are considering new rules to curtail the country's cannabis industry by limiting cannabis sales to mostly licensed medical facilities. Now, the proposal would also allow sales at herbal product shops, pharmacies, and through traditional medicine practitioners, but would require at least one practitioner with appropriate training from the Department of Thai Traditional and Alternative Medicines to be on site at any cannabis retail location during its hours of operation. Now, the change marks the latest steps in Thailand's reversal since adopting a blanket cannabis decriminalization policy in 2022, which sparked the country's current fledgling market. But the recreational use of cannabis is again prohibited after government officials, after several years of decriminalization, last June decided to reclassify cannabis as a narcotic at the national level. There you go. Quick change. Legal for a while, not long. Now it's illegal again. Now, Thailand's cannabis industry has grown to over 18,000 retailers by the end of 2025. However, more than 7,000 licensees opted not to seek a license renewal, with signals that a significant number of the dispensaries are planning to close in the coming year, according to the report. So there you go. Even though it was legal in Thailand a couple of years ago, it's not anymore for recreational use. And that could happen in your state. That could happen here in Canada. You just never know. So you always got to keep up that fight in order to keep cannabis legal. Don't let the guard down. And other than that, that's it for today. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the input. Really appreciate it. And I hope you found the information informative and educational. Thanks go out to you guys for tuning into the broadcast, as well as to our sponsors, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, as well as at ease.ca. We'll see you Monday morning, 10 a.m. Cindy will be back with me sitting in a chair. And as I always say, since 2008, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, They offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.